Okay, everyone. I don't know if you can see it. I've tried to set up the camera so it's pointing right at this. I cannot see these two gauges right now with this gauge mounting solution from Autometer. I really like it though. I mean, it has your turn signals, park, brights, check engine, and if you're in four-wheel drive. The other problem I have with it though is if I push the steering wheel up, it engages my hazard lights. See, it just turned those on. So I went with a different solution. This is also from Autometer, but if you look at how this mounts, this is going to shove all the gauges back a good couple of inches, and I hope it's also enough space that I can see these top two gauges. So I'm going to undo this, disconnect the speedometer real quick, and we'll see if it fits better. If it does, then I'm going to work on installing the rest of my gauges so I can actually have some good information from my Kubota V2403. So, time lapse. Okay, so I installed this new piece from Autometer. I really liked it, but I realized this looks unfinished. So I just was looking at my part shelf. I forgot I had this, and that's when I discovered this goes on like that, and it perfectly covers the new mounting solution. That looks really good because I can undo the steering wheel. I can easily hit my hazard switch, and nothing's going to be in the way, and it completely covers the gauges. I am super happy with this. So now I'm going to work on mounting this and mounting all my other gauges. So yeah, let's get to work. Okay guys, I've got the gauge panel wired up. Again, I really love this Autometer mounting solution. I think it's going to work much better. The way I have done this is so I can constantly add on to it. These supply power, but because these are female connectors and they're shielded, I don't have to worry about them touching each other and causing a short. These are what receive power from the Wrangler. And I've interconnected everything so I could disconnect it and reconnect it. And it's a bit of a mess, but it's going to work. So these wires right here, I think I could tell you what these are. This is coolant temp. This is oil pressure, speedometer, tachometer, and this is fuel. Obviously the voltmeter doesn't have one. It's just getting its power from this. So we still need to hook these up, and I'm actually going to pull my speedometer signal from a different source than where I'm currently getting it right now. But what we're going to do is quickly hook this up into the Wrangler and just turn it on just to see if we get power and the running lights work. So I'm going to move this into the Wrangler and I'll see you in a second. Okay everyone, I'm gonna adjust the camera so you can see this. If I've done everything correctly and I've hooked up everything correctly, all the gauges should come on, and these gauges, which are bar graphs, should do a full sweep. I'm actually really excited about this. Oh, that looks awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to take this back out and we're going to wire up the coolant temperature sensor, the oil pressure sensor, and the fuel level. And the tachometer. I know where the tachometer signal is, so that's easy enough. Yeah, this is looking really good. I hope you can see this. This is the stock oil pressure sending unit for the Kubota. I got a new one when I installed the Intellitronix gauges, so I'm going to be removing this and installing the new gauge, and then I'm going to go ahead and figure out the wiring for the oil pressure sending unit, the coolant temperature sensor, the fuel gauge. So let's get back to work. Now that we've got the sensor on, I have some orange wire because the gauge signal wire is also orange, so it just kind of keeps everything color happy. I hope this is long enough, but I'm going to quickly crimp on a eyelet onto this end so I can plug it in, and then we're going to just quickly route it into the gauge, turn the engine on, and see if we get an oil pressure signal, and to see if the sending unit is leaking. So, time lapse. That looks promising. Alright, now that we know the oil pressure sending unit and gauge works and it's not leaking, we're now going to hook up this. Now, I know this doesn't leak, but I've never hooked it up. So I have some blue wire because the sensor wire on the gauge is blue. I hope this is enough. I don't have a ton of it, but we're going to try it. And yeah, time lapse. Okay, the temperature doesn't start registering until 160 degrees, so I'm not going to worry about testing it right now. That's easy enough to figure out, and I'm kind of not concerned about it. I'm going to now change my focus onto getting the fuel to register. We're going to move to underneath the Jeep because we also need to figure out the wire for the sending wire for the fuel level. So, in a bit of a fail, I didn't realize the battery in my GoPro had died and I wasn't recording. All I've really done is found the fuel level sensor wire, and I've gotten it to the point where I'm about to wire it up to the gauge and see if it works. So sorry about that, but back to time lapse. All right, everyone, it's been a couple of days since I last worked on this. I should say a couple of days since I last recorded. I started just running into really oddball stuff that I could not wrap my head around. So on and off for the last about 3 days, I have been trying to figure out this fuel level sending unit. And I ended up taking this apart, and I could never get the gauge to register anything. It was just boggling my mind. The lift pump I'm using is out of a Dodge Cummins. So it is a Dodge Chrysler. It should be 10 ohms full, 73 ohms empty. Let me show you what it actually is. Be right back. And we're back. So here's what I did. I ended up finding the exact same lift pump I had on Amazon, like new, for an incredible discount. And since I kind of need this as a spare anyway, I went ahead and got it. But this gave me the opportunity to hook a multimeter straight to this wiring harness, which I ended up not using, but for this purpose works great. to see what the range is. Now, I thought it originally is supposed to be a Chrysler. Then I was thinking it was a GM, but what it ended up being was, if we go to ohms, this is on empty. Don't know if you can see it. It's like 223, and when we go to full, it's about 20. So full, empty. Now what that tells us is the wires that we need to cut on the gauge so that we can get an accurate fuel reading. So I'm going to hook the GoPro back up. We're going to take the gauge out. We're going to cut the appropriate wires so the fuel gauge is configured correctly. And we're going to go back to wiring up the instrument cluster. Let's get to work. Okay everyone, I've got the Wrangler back together. We're outside. I've got the GoPro hooked to the steering wheel, so I am not holding the camera. But we're going to take a quick drive and see how these gauges look. Oh, I love the sweep. Let's do this. My temperature sensor does work. It is just now getting some heat in it. Wow. Okay everyone, super close up. I've got the GoPro mounted on my steering wheel right now. All my gauges appear to work, including my coolant temperature sensor. I was worried that this engine was getting really hot, and it's really just getting hot at the end of this loop I've been driving constantly. The one thing I really need to do is I've got to get my speedometer calibrated. Right now it's not calibrated, and I'm having to go base off of glancing at a phone GPS to make sure I'm not speeding. So anyway, the only other thing I wanted to talk about real quick is we just finally hit 1,000 subscribers, and that's all thanks to you guys. Thank you so much. It's more than I ever hoped for this channel, and it just means the world to me. I will tell you, we have some exciting stuff coming up that I will be announcing very soon, which is going to change what I was planning to do on this channel for the next couple of months. I'm very excited about it. But anyway, leave a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, you know what to do. And hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you have, as always, thank you so much. And I will see you in the next video very soon. Goodbye.